All right, let's talk about one of the biggest shifts happening right now, artificial intelligence. But we're not just going to talk about the cool new tech. We're going to look at AI as this massive, fundamental force that is completely tearing up the old rulebook for how companies compete and, just as importantly, how you should be thinking about your own investments. Let's get into it.
You know, this quote from Bain & Company just nails it. This isn't about adding a little AI button to your favorite app. No. This is about AI becoming the very foundation, the operating system for how business gets done. And that's why we're calling this a code red moment. It's a signal that every single executive, every investor needs to be paying very close attention, like right now.
So, why code red? Why the urgency? Well, it's because we are in the middle of this monumental shift. We're moving away from thinking of AI as just a tool, like a fancy calculator. Instead, it's becoming this whole integrated layer of smart agents that can handle really complex, multi-step jobs. And that right there changes the entire game of competition in pretty much every industry you can think of.
Yeah, this move from a co-pilot, something that just helps a human out, to a full-blown operating system that orchestrates entire workflows, that's the core of the disruption. It means all the old strategies, the old ways of building a successful business and creating value are suddenly on shaky ground.
Now, here's what's so fascinating. How exactly is AI making the old playbook useless? Well, it's going after the very things that companies have built their empires on for decades, their competitive advantages, and it's basically making them disappear. I mean, the difference is just night and day. In the past, you won because you had the best spot in the market, the most money, or you were just the biggest. But AI is making all of that available to pretty much everyone. It's leveling the playing field, giving these super sophisticated capabilities that used to belong only to giant corporations to smaller, scrappier players who can move way faster.
And here's the real kicker. AI is causing this insane drop in the time, money, and hassle it takes to create new stuff. To really see what I mean, let's look at one of the most expensive and slowest industries on Earth, developing new medicines.
So historically, getting a new drug just to the trial stage could take 6 years and cost over $400 million. Now look at this number, $2.6 million. That was the cost for the world's first drug designed by generative AI. And the time it took? Just 18 months. That is not just an improvement, that's a completely different economic reality. So, what this all means is that we're on a totally new curve now. Being the winner isn't just about who has the most cash anymore. It's about who can learn and adapt the fastest. And that creates this massive, once-in-a-generation opening for the little guys to challenge the giants. Okay, so if the old playbook is in the trash, what's the new one? How are companies supposed to respond to not just, survive this thing, but to actually come out on top in this new AI-powered world? Let's take a look at what that new playbook is all about. According to some great research from the California Management Review, the new advantage is going to come from 6 areas that all work together. It's not about being great at just one of these. It's about building these compounding moats across all of them. We're talking about your unique data, your tech foundation, how fast your company learns, how deeply you're willing to reinvent everything you do, who you partner with, and crucially, how much your customers actually trust you. And this quote just hits the nail on the head, especially for those first 2 points. With the core AI models becoming widely available, the real game changer is your own proprietary data. The stuff your company creates every single day. From shipping logistics to customer service calls to sensors in a smart fridge, all of that is now a goldmine, a strategic asset you can use to build better, smarter AI. And hey, this isn't just some academic theory. The market is already voting with its dollars. This chart shows that companies that are actively building these new advantages are delivering almost an 11 percentage point premium in shareholder returns compared to the ones that are lagging behind. Investors are rewarding the companies that get it. Now this right here is a huge mindset shift. The real wins aren't going to come from just using AI to do an old, clunky process a little bit faster. The true transformation happens when you redesign entire workflows from scratch, creating brand new systems built for teams of humans and AI agents to work together seamlessly.
So how do you actually do that at scale? Well, Bain suggests this idea of an agent factory. Think of it like a repeatable industrial process for building and deploying these AI agents. You start by really understanding the workflow, setting super clear rules and boundaries for what the agent can and can't do, and building a tough system to test and watch over it. It's all about getting out of the one-off experiment phase and into a systematic, scalable operation.
All right, let's switch gears. We've talked a lot from the CEO's perspective, but what does all this crazy disruption mean for you, as an investor, and for your own money?
This is the key question. right? When the entire digital world is being remade by a force that makes intelligence almost free and available to everyone, where can you possibly find some stability and growth? Where do you put your money?
Well, a strategic answer to that question is this concept of AI-proof investments. We're talking about assets whose fundamental value is just naturally resistant to the kind of digital tsunami we've been describing. They're built on a completely different kind of competitive moat.
So what kind of things fall into this bucket? We're talking about assets that are grounded in the physical world, things that have real, tangible value that you can't just digitize and copy a million times. This means things like real estate, essential commodities, and the critical infrastructure we all rely on, like utilities and mining.
The logic here, and firms like Goldman Sachs have pointed this out, is that these sectors get their value from physical, tangible stuff. An AI can write a beautiful piece of code or design an amazing product, but it can't create more land, it can't mine copper out of the ground or build a power grid. Their value just isn't as vulnerable to being made obsolete by digital tech.
Okay, so let's pull these two big ideas together. We've got a playbook for corporations, and we've got a playbook for investors. But at the end of the day, both are about the same thing, finding a new, lasting competitive advantage in the age of AI.
And this table just lays it all out so clearly. For companies, the new competitive moat is digital. It's built on things like unique data, learning faster than everyone else, and earning deep customer trust. But for investors who are looking for a safe harbor, the new moat might just be physical. It's built on tangible assets that AI can't just create out of thin air.
And this is the core idea to walk away with. It's a pretty wild paradox when you think about it. In a world being completely turned upside down by something as intangible as artificial intelligence, the things we can actually touch, the physical, the real, might become the most important sources of stable, lasting value.
You see, these two playbooks, one digital, one physical, they're not at odds with each other. They're really just two sides of the same coin. They're two different strategic answers to a world where intelligence itself is being completely reinvented.
And so that's the big question I want to leave you with. As every business on the planet races to build these digital moats made of data and algorithms, could it be that the most durable, long-term advantage for a country, for a company, and for your own portfolio is actually found in the physical world? Something to think about.